Coffee is for closers. Can Nebraska close on their top prospects this weekend? We're going to find out. You have 9 official visitors on campus. You've got one commit in last, 2, 3+ months, 4 months from Jace Reynolds last month. Nebraska is stagnant in recruiting in terms of commitments, in terms of momentum. All of that can change starting today because all 9 official visitors are on campus. If they're not yet there, they're going to be by the end of the day. On top of that, you have 40+ 4- and 5-star recruits for the class of 2027 and the class of 2028 on campus right now, competing in the Battle of the Boneyard 7-on-7 tournament. So when you're done watching this video, if you can, swing by Memorial Stadium. They're all competing literally right now. And I guarantee you these official visitors are going to swing by that tournament. And they're going to see that 5,000+ Nebraska fans showed up for a 7-on-7 tournament for a bunch of 2027 and 2028 recruits. We already know some of them that are here right now. Trey Taylor, borderline 5-star quarterback committed to Nebraska, is in town. He posted this today on X. He's got Ahmad Hudson there. He's the #1 tight end in the class of 2027. He's 5 or 4 stars, depending on your recruiting service. And the other person that is with him in that picture there is Mark Matthews, a 5-star offensive tackle for the class of 2027. Plenty of reasons to go see these players at Memorial Stadium today. Now, before we dive into who Nebraska has in for the class of 2026 on official visits, I want to thank our members real quickly. Big Red Loyalists, Claude Derry, RoboFlock, Todd Richards, Pitt Snipe, Brandon Lee. In the Black Shirt Brigade, we got Bone Led, Corn Fed, and we've got Justin Rogge. And then a 5-star corn connoisseur, we have Mr. MD Kozman. Thank you all so much for being members and supporting the channel. We're really close to getting to the number we need to do members only content. So if you haven't done so yet, become a member. Also, like, comment, and subscribe on the video. That helps us out a ton. All righty. The first prospect we're talking about is 3-star / 4-star, 4-star in Rivals, composite 3-star, offensive guard / offensive tackle, Hayden Ainsworth. He has the ability to play inside and outside, so that's why I label him as a guard / tackle. From Biloxi, Mississippi, good frame at 6'5", 285 pounds. Grew up in Nebraska, a lot of connections here, a lot of family and friends still here. Reclassed from the class of 2027 to the class of 2026, so that kind of sped up his recruitment quite a bit with all the schools that were pursuing him. We covered his recruitment a lot more in depth in our offensive line breakdown from like a week or 2 ago, so if you haven't done so yet, check that video out if you want a lot more information about Hayden Ainsworth. Now, the difference between then and now is not much. Ole Miss is still the favorite. I think Nebraska is a close second right now with Hayden Ainsworth. They can make their move this weekend. Like I said, coffee is for closers. Nebraska needs to close very quickly on a lot of these prospects. I think Nebraska will push for commitment from Hayden Ainsworth. Next up on our list, Ryan Miret, one of those two pronunciations, I believe. A 3-star center / interior offensive line target. Rivals does have him as a 4-star as well. Good frame at 6'4", 6'5", 290 pounds. He is from Miami, Florida. The biggest factor or the biggest opponent Nebraska has in his recruitment is Miami. Now, Miami, I would say, is a slight edge, very slight edge right now on Nebraska. Proximity to home, family being able to attend every game. Obviously, those things are important for a lot of players. Nebraska's in a great spot, though. He's a state champ wrestler, and here's where I think Nebraska can make a little bit difference, is they have a great wrestling program. Ryan's a really good wrestler. Nebraska is the only school that has offered Ryan the ability to wrestle in college and play football. I don't think that's going to be an overall deciding factor in his recruitment, but it certainly could be a factor. Now, he set his commitment date for June 25th. That is after, obviously, his visit to Nebraska and obviously after his visit to Miami. Nebraska has a chance this weekend to make a big move for Ryan Miret. They also have a big chance this weekend to make a move with his teammate, Kamron Wilson, a 3-star on 3 and 247, a 4-star on Rivals. This is a guy probably does be a composite 4-star by the time everything's said and done. I think last year he had over 100 tackles and like 30 QB hurries and like 20 plus sacks. So he's a little bit undervalued right now in his overall recruitment in terms of star rankings, but offer wise, this dude's blowing up right now. He's been committed to Syracuse for a little bit. Nebraska, even after that commitment, did not back off. Nebraska is going to push for a commitment from Kamron Wilson. This is a battle between really Florida State, Tony White, Terrence Knighton, who's born on third base at Nebraska with his defensive line, John Butler, and Terry Braden. Who can win out here? I think Nebraska has the lead over Florida State and over Syracuse right now. Now, he's still committed to Syracuse, but I don't think that commitment's going to stick, if we're being honest here. That's kind of just what everyone has been saying for a while now, that commitment to Syracuse is not very firm. I think Nebraska is going to push for a commitment from Kamron Wilson this weekend. And in return, not visit Florida State. And on top of that, he will peer recruit his own teammate, Ryan Miret, who we just talked about, to follow him to Nebraska. Coffee is for closers. Coach Rule and this staff need to land a true jack/edge pass rush specialist in this class. Kamron Wilson is that guy for Nebraska. We're going to move to the other side of the ball now. Undoubtedly, in my opinion, the biggest recruit on campus this weekend for Nebraska. Consensus 4-star, consensus top 250 on all services, offensive tackle Kelvin Obot. 6'6", 300 pounds from Fruitland, Idaho. And you can see there on the rankings, every single service has him as a top 15 tackle, except for ESPN, of course. I'm going to move that banner real quick just so you can see Rivals ranking there. So yeah, all major services except ESPN have him as a top 250 overall player, top 25 offensive tackle, and obviously the number one player in Idaho. His recruitment in Nebraska is going to be tough. Nebraska does not have proximity like Oregon does, or Utah, for example. They do not have the consistent track record of putting linemen and especially offensive tackles into the NFL, like Oregon and like Utah. So right now, Nebraska has a ton of ground to make up with Kelvin Obot. I apologize if I'm not saying that right. But they can make up that ground. They can sell playing time. They can sell look, we're getting better. We're showing progress. We're going to be a really good team. You can be a centerpiece of this offensive line for the future. This goes back to what I was talking about in our defensive back breakdown, all the recruits there's so many high profile, schools after a lot of the guys in Nebraska's recruiting. Nebraska can offer the best facilities. They can offer the best training table. They can offer the best of everything, but they haven't consistently won and put guys into the NFL. This is the biggest issue that they have to overcome in recruiting with every prospect. They're doing a pretty good job. Let's be honest. They're doing a pretty good job of doing that. They had a really good class last year. The year before that was a really good class. This year with a smaller class, it's going to be hard to have a high-ranked class, but we're looking for quality over quantity with the class of 2026. Kelvin Obot can be a centerpiece as a left tackle or a right tackle for years to come at Nebraska. The next prospect we're talking about is CJ Bronough. I'm not going to spend too much time on him because I just covered his recruitment and everything yesterday. So if you haven't done so yet, check out the defensive backs video I posted yesterday. But Winter Garden, Florida native, 6'1", 175 pounds. This is a big weekend for Nebraska to lock down his recruitment and basically shut it down completely. Whether or not they can do that, I don't know. It's a big weekend, though. I don't want to spend too much time on CJ because I spent like 5 minutes on him yesterday. So we're going to go right over to Mr. Brian Bonner, 4-star running back, consensus 4-star running back. Let's see his rivals ranking real quick there. Yeah, 4-star there. Consensus top 100 player, top 15 running back nationally. Obviously, the dude is a stud. Nebraska's been after Brian Bonner for a very long time from Santa Clarita, California. 6'1", 185 plus pounds. I've never really thought Nebraska was going to pull this recruitment off, though, if I'm being honest. Notre Dame was a factor, certainly, but they've got 2 running back commitments in recent weeks and months or so. So that does help Nebraska a little bit. However, I'd say like right now, UCLA, Washington, like he's looking to stay on the West Coast would be my guess. Penn State will be a factor as well, but the read right now is he's staying out west. Nebraska can convince him potentially to come a little bit more to the east, right smack dab in the middle of the country. It's like a 3 or 4 hour flight from his hometown to Omaha. So it's not terrible. But I would say right now he's staying out west, but we can make a move this weekend for sure. And then we're going to go over to Mr. Kasen Thomas, a 4-star on 3. Otherwise, he's a 3-star in all major services from Sioux City, Iowa. He's a linebacker prospect, more of like a middle linebacker, outside linebacker prospect. Very similar mold to Jace Reynolds, which is I'm a little surprised Nebraska's picked up their recruitment with Kasen Thomas because they have such similar roles, but maybe they see, Kasen as a true middle and Jace as a true outside linebacker or vice versa. That's entirely possible. 6'1", 190 plus pounds. His recruitment is very localized. It's Iowa State, it's Iowa, and then there's like the one outlier being Arizona because I believe his dad played at Arizona, so he's kind of a legacy player there. However, I think he's going to stay closer to home, go play for Iowa or Iowa State. Nebraska can certainly make up a lot of ground right now, but I don't think there's a great chance of that, I guess, is how I would put it. I think they're going to potentially just rock with Jace Reynolds, and they're going to put all their chips in to Jordan Campbell, if that even makes it to campus for his official visit. Kasen Thomas, good player, but I just don't see him sticking, or I'm sorry, not sticking. I just don't see him just committing to Nebraska. Maybe it's a guy they work to flip late in the process if they miss out on Jordan Campbell, but this recruitment very much feels like it's Iowa or Iowa State for Kasen Thomas. Now, the big recruit, too, at tight end that is visiting this weekend, which I wasn't even sure if he was going to visit, was Luke Sorensen. 4-star tight end. Nebraska's been on him. They were one of the first big programs to come after him. 6'4", 230 plus pounds from Anaheim, California. Now, once Nebraska offered, it seems like everyone followed suit, per the usual when Nebraska offers an undervalued recruit. Ole Miss, Nebraska, and Penn State are his top 3. He visits Nebraska this weekend. Ole Miss was last weekend, and then next weekend he finishes up with Penn State. He is committing on June 20th, which is the week after the Penn State visit. So you do the math. I believe he's going to be headed over to is it Happy Valley? Is that what they call it? Now, Trey Taylor is going to be heavily involved with this recruitment over the weekend. So will Dylan Raiola. They've been chatting publicly quite a bit, at least Trey and Luke have. So, they could make a move. Nebraska could make a move this weekend. I don't see that happening from my perspective, but we can always hope, right? Our final recruit is Rex Waterman, 3-star offensive guard from Chandler, Arizona, 6'5", 300 pounds. He's down to Nebraska, Boise, and UCLA. Duke seems to have faded in his recruitment quite a bit. I thought that was someone that maybe had some staying power, really high academic school, but they seem to have faded a little bit. I think this is going to come down to Nebraska and UCLA. And I think Nebraska is going to try and lock up Rex Waterman before he takes that Duke official visit, which I believe is, if it's not next weekend, it'd be the week following on the June 20th weekend. I think Nebraska is really going to push for a commitment from Rex Waterman. It may be a silent commitment for a few days while graphics get made or whatever, but I've said for a long time, I think Nebraska's, always kind of been in the driver's seat with Rex Waterman, with the concern of UCLA is like they're my biggest concern because they've upped their NIL. They're starting to overpay for players a little bit. And on top of that, proximity. He's from, as we said, Chandler, Arizona. UCLA is not terribly too far away in comparison to Nebraska, or even in comparison to Boise. So it just depends. Is he willing to leave home? And if he is, and by home I mean leave the Southwest, and if he is, I think he's going to end up at Nebraska. What recruits are you most excited about that are visiting this weekend? Let me know down in the comments. That's all I've got for today. So we'll see y'all later. Get down to Memorial Stadium for the Battle of the Boneyard.